Hi everyone, this is Rachel here from the Shades of Orange, here to do my August wrap-up. If I'm totally honest, this month was a little bit slumpy for reading. It was kind of twofold. One, I was just honestly very busy, had a lot of things going on and didn't have a lot of time to read. And on the other hand, I just was in a bit of a reading slump. Even though I was excited about a lot of different books, I just didn't feel like picking up a book and reading very much this month. And so I ended up watching a lot more TV and doing other things. However, I did manage to still read quite a few shorter books, and I'll just tell you about what I did end up reading this month. The first thing I read this month was Home Rules by Nate Berkus. This is a home design book. I just picked it up on a whim from the library. I'm currently thinking about, different home renovations and decorating, and I really love Nate Berkus. I totally watched him when he was on the Oprah show and when he got his own show, and he's just super cute and I like everything he does. The book itself was honestly alright. All the advice in the book was pretty simple. Things like, oh, paint is a cheap way to, change a room. And I was like, yeah, I knew that already. But overall, I thought it was a good jumping off place for people who are thinking about redecorating, but didn't go into a lot of detail and didn't have as much substance as I would have liked. Now after that, I read a nonfiction book. And that's kind of unusual for me because I honestly don't read a whole lot of nonfiction other than memoirs, but I decided to read a book called Of Dice and Men, the story of Dungeons and Dragons and the people who play it by David Ewalt. And just like the title sounds, this is basically a book about the history of Dungeons and Dragons. Full disclosure, I do casually play Dungeons and Dragons with some of my friends, but I don't know honestly a whole lot about the lore behind it, the history. It's something we kind of casually do. None of us are really, we're geeky, but none of us have really played before, so it's just something we decided to do as a group just to try it out, and honestly we have a lot of fun with it. So I kind of thought I'd be the perfect audience for this book because I knew a bit about the game already, but honestly I didn't know a whole lot about it, so I thought there was a lot for me to learn. And generally I enjoyed this book. I thought parts of it were really interesting. I loved some of the more personal chapters, like when the guys talked about their experiences breaking the news to their girlfriends that they played Dungeons and Dragons. However, other chapters in the book were a little bit dry for me. I would only recommend this book to people who already play Dungeons and Dragons or at least have some interest in the subject matter. Now after that, I listened to the audiobook of The Martian by Weir. This is a 2014 release. It's a science fiction story about a man who's stranded on Mars and has to survive. It is such a fantastic thriller. I did a separate review on this one. I gave it 4.5 stars on Goodreads. I definitely think it's one of the best new releases this year. If you're interested in hearing more about it or my thoughts, please check out my video. But I definitely recommend picking it up and just, trying it out for yourself. Really enjoyed that one. After that, I decided to read A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks. I've read a couple other books by Nicholas Sparks, but I was really excited to read this one because I love the movie adaptation. This one was such a sweet story. I definitely enjoyed it. I was surprised how incredibly short the story was though. I think it's only 200 and some pages in my version and the writing is huge. So it was an incredibly fast read, and my only complaint was that I really wanted the characters to be a little bit more developed. I felt the book was a little bit too short to fully develop the relationship between Landon and Jamie, but still really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend this one to anyone who enjoys romance stories. I realize I'm not much of a romance reader, so it's kind of strange that after finishing A Walk to Remember, the next book I read was Attachments by Rowell. I listened to this one as an audiobook, and I enjoyed it a fair bit. This is the third book I've read from Rowell. I've already read both of her young adult books, which were, of course, Eleanor and Park and Fangirl. I think I enjoyed those two a little bit better than this one. I was really looking forward to this one just because I usually prefer adult fiction. I wasn't completely impressed by the characters in this one. They felt a little bit flat, a little bit underdeveloped, a little bit immature. I still thought it was a really cute story and ended up giving it 3 stars on Goodreads. Just, really cute story. I think if anyone is a huge fan of romantic comedies, they would really like this one because it's definitely told as basically a chick lit romantic comedy. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, I definitely recommend checking this one out. Now the last 4 books that I read throughout the month of August were graphic novels, and they were all from the series Y the Last Man by Brian K. Vaughn. I read volumes 4, 5, 6, and 7. Volume 4 honestly was a bit disappointing for me. I only gave it 3 stars. I just felt it wasn't as strong as the beginning of the story, and I kind of was losing interest. However, I decided to keep going and picked up Volume 5, which was amazing. There was so much character development and plot development. It was everything I was wanting the series to be, and it was just fantastic. Best volume of the series so far. And after that I had to pick up 6 and then 7, which were also really good, and now I'm anxiously waiting for the last couple volumes to come in from the library. I'd love to finish this series in the month of September. I've just really gotten hooked on it, and at this point I want to see the conclusion to the story. I'm very excited to see how it's going to wrap up, but it's definitely piqued my interest and is probably one of my most enjoyable reads of the month. I just got really hooked, and I'm anxiously waiting for the library to bring my books over to my local library. So hurry up already, I need to keep going. That's everything I've read this month. I'm currently still reading the 4th book in A Song of Ice and Fire series, A Feast for Crows. I'm really enjoying that one, but honestly I'm just not reading a lot in terms of page count recently, so hopefully I'll finish that in the month of September, but it just honestly depends on how much my reading picks up next month. Hope everyone's having a really good day, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Okay, bye.